this is the table for the retirement resource status of the client. Okay, so if you look at this information, we have saving account, fixed deposit, life insurance, stock and shares, unit trust, existing EPF, future EPF. Okay, we include the investment asset in the resources, alright, and we didn't include some personal assets, contohnya macam rumah, because people still want to stay at the home even after they retire. And although, for example, your client has a jewelry, we also didn't include that in our calculation here in this table because he possibly will use the jewelry after he retire. So that's why we just include the investment asset in this calculation. Unless in the question, it is mentioned that client really want to use his personal asset for the purpose of retirement. If that will be the situation, then it will be another story. Okay. So where the figures are come from? Saving account, fixed deposit, stock and shares, unit trust, existing EPF, okay? All of these are from the net worth statement. You get the I from the economics index, and it's actually the duration from here, okay? 34 to 60 means that you have another 26 years before you retire, so that's why N is 26. Then the FV is 12,500. Okay, you calculate the FV. Similar to fixed deposit, stock and shares, yeah, using the information of I, and this is the PV, you convert to FV. I would say that one of the difficult parts adalah related to the life insurance cash value, tapi taklah susah sangat. For current cash value, you know that from now, you're going to contribute to life insurance for another 26 years, which means you have to calculate how much the cash value now until you retire. So you take 5400. 5400 is actually the insurance premium, okay, for the old package. This is available in your fact finding sheet. If you look at the parts related to the insurance information on the insurance, you have the information about the insurance premium there. So that is 5400 times with another 26 years that you will pay until you retire times with 30% of the rate, then you can get 42,120. So this 42,120, you add up with the balance, the beginning balance of the insurance cash value from the net worth statement, that is 16,200. Okay, and the total is supposed to be 58,320. Alright, so for future EPF, you calculate the income plus bonus. Income plus bonus times with the percentage of the contribution. Okay, and you times with the 1 plus 0.05. So 0.05 is actually referring to EPF dividend. And here, G is actually the expected wage growth rate. And you divide it with 0.05 minus 0.04. All right, and you have to provide this detailed calculation. And you can get this figure, and the total resources is 2.5 million. So you have to do the same calculation for wife as well. Okay, and you have to identify how much should be the retirement gap. How you should calculate the retirement gap? You take the lump sum need minus with the total resources. This is the lump sum need. Lump sum need is 2.7, and the total resources here, 2.5 million for husband, 2.5 million for wife, which means the retirement gap for husband is around 165,000, for wife is around 257,000. Okay, please remember that your client must have retirement gap. Okay, must have retirement gap. Make sure that lump sum need is higher than the resources. And the amount of gap should be decent in the sense that the gap must be within 100K to 500K. 100K to 500K. If, for example, you unable to get a gap, you're unable to get a gap, which means you have to make an adjustment dekat at the part of the lump sum ni, which means you have to increase the percentage here, the percentage here 90%, 95% ni, you have to increase that in the case if you don't have gap. Or if, for example, the sorry, if, for example, not here, the total resources, but if, for example, the retirement gap is too high, for example, like 1 million or 2 million, then you make an adjustment towards your total resources. Okay, so normally we don't have such problem, but sometimes problem boleh jadi kalau student tak ada gap. So if that will be the situation, nanti tukar lah dia punya percentage ni daripada, for example, 95%, you change to 100%. Okay, macam tu. You try to do the calculation first, and if, for example, you have the problem, only then you make an adjustment towards the percentage of the lump sum. And after that, once you already identify the gap, you already get the gap here, what you need to do is to give recommendation on how you should fill up this gap. And obviously, the solution is to provide a recommendation to keep in the PRS, private retirement scheme. Okay, so let's say here, all right, if you look at this calculation, the gap is 165,257 and it's 26. You have another 26 years before you retire. So here is the time for you to make a saving in the PRS. Why we give suggestion for the client to keep in the PRS? Because you can get a tax relief of 3,000 per year if you keep your money in the PRS. Okay, so the rate of the PRS is 6.32, depend on your findings from the internet. You have to screenshot the information from the written of the PRS. You have to screenshot that information. Let's say your interest is 6.0, then you can use 6.0. Okay, and then you calculate the PV and you calculate the PMP, which means every year this Pakcik Mr. Muhammad have to make a contribution of 2,505 per year in the PRS, and Mrs. Emma Wahida must make a contribution of 3.9K per year for the purpose of PRS. So as in this case, this client, the husband, can claim all 2,505 because the maximum tax relief is 3,000. But for Mrs. Erma Wahida, she only can claim up to 3,000 only because that is the cap for the claim for the tax relief. Alright, so you read the text and make sure you change accordingly. Kalau guna different types of the mutual growth fund, then you change, okay? And then if, for example, age is different, the number of gap is different for husband and wife, you have to change, alright? If, for example, the percentage of the return from the EPF is different, then you also have to change the figure accordingly. You can maintain the text tapi figure ataupun another information pasal the package of the PRS, you have to change that accordingly. With that, habislah all the things that you need to do for this semester for retirement planning. Nanti investment, okay, we have a tax planning, all other parts we are going to look at nanti pada semester akan datang. Okay? Boleh saya tanya, ada apa-apa soalan? May I know whether you have another questions? Okay. Tapi sebenarnya lebih baik kalau kamu present dalam Excel. Okay, present dalam Excel, which means that tunjukkan nama and then slide related to your net worth statement and net cash flow, and then the next step adalah related to insurance, and then the next step adalah education, the next step adalah berkaitan dengan retirement, macam tu, the calculation, the table. Tunjuk saja. Terangkan dari figure ni daripada mana, berapa banyak recommendation, tak payah letak teks lah, maksudnya table yang menunjukkan your calculation saja. Okay. Alright, ada apa-apa soalan lain? Okay, baiklah, kalau tak ada apa-apa soalan lain. Okay, kalau minggu depan adalah group presentation boleh seorang saja. Kalau individual, kena individual lah yang present. Okay. Alright, kalau tak ada apa-apa soalan lagi, that's all for this session. Okay, bersedia kena bersedia all the group minggu depan we have a group presentation, tolong rehearsal. Saya tak nak nanti, kita ada masa setiap satu group ada 10 minit saja. Jadi kalau tak buat rehearsal nanti tak tahu nak buka, tak tahu macam mana nak buka dekat Gmeet ataupun masalah-masalah lain, connection dan sebagainya. Saya tak nak mula-mula kena present the video. Jadi kalau misalnya kata, saya punya connection tak okay, suruh kawan lain buka connection. Macam tu. And then another one yang present. Make sure orang yang present tu pun dia prepare. Nanti akan ada Q&A session. Okay, kalau tak ada apa-apa soalan, that's all for this session. InsyaAllah kita jumpa minggu depan with the students presentation. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.